Here we go. This beating has been live stream.
Woohoo!
You're here because today's conversation around first time experiences. And today
Okay,
we have our amazing guest, Afiya. I love your name, by the way, Afiya.
thank you.
Afiya, and she is the CEO of Underdog Millionaire, and she's a mindset coach and a business consultant. But you're not a stranger to chatting out in public there, Afiya. So why don't you just tell people what's going on in your world, girl?
What's
Why don't you
going
do?
on in my world?
Yeah, what's going on? Tell us a little bit about you real fast so we can chat it up about first time experiences.
First time experiences. Well, this is my first time on your podcast, so
Yes, it
that's new
is.
and exciting. Um, it is a sunshiny day, so we're just getting out of winter into spring here in Florida. So that's a first time for this year. Although
Mm.
winter happens differently in Florida, so we could take that with a grain of salt. And first time experiences. This past week, or the weekend before this past weekend, was my first time speaking at the Movement Maker Live event, which is one of our partners' uh, event that they have for their business. So lots of firsts in 2024.
You know, I actually I saw some footage of the event through
Nice.
Obama. I think Obama was sharing it. Either you or Obama was sharing it. And I was like, oh man, look at that. So that's
Yes,
awesome, by
he
the way.
shared more
Say
than
again?
I did, definitely. He shared more than I did, definitely. So you probably saw his stuff, but I did share stuff too. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that guy's on social media. His presence is known. I'm like,
Yes,
I'm following the lead of this amazing dude right here, Obama. I'm following his lead as far as put my stuff out there a lot more and talk about my story. But again, we're here
absolutely.
to talk about first time experiences, and a lot of us, all
Mhm,
of us have them. So how the podcast normally works, folks
mhm.
understand the process which I'm building, get my name out there too as well. Is every week, every day of the week, we talk about a different theme. And Monday is about first time experiences. That's why you're here to kind of have a conversation. And if you're
Okay.
listening live somewhere, streaming on YouTube or Facebook, so forth and so on, then definitely go ahead and put in the chat, streaming live or hashtag replay to catch us on replay. Got that from Obama too, by the way. I see him doing. I'm like, yeah, I like what this guy's doing.
I'm
But
like,
yeah,
oh, that sounds familiar.
that's not familiar, right? But listen, you just say if you want to go fast, it's what partner with a master. I'm
Absolutely.
working my way there too. But I appreciate you because I met you through Obama, and I'm listening to you guys having you guys conversation. And I'm like, man, this is the world I want to be in, but I gotta
Absolutely.
work my way to this new world, this new frontier that you guys specialize in, which is really inspiring people around the world. And
Absolutely.
also that what do you call it, professional homeless life. I don't know, I want that life too. Why don't you tell us about that lifestyle, by the way?
Oh, oh boy. Well, if not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. Um,
Mm.
but it's basically a way of living where the emphasis is on the adventure of life versus the things that could potentially weigh us down, including uh, putting putting the American dream out of perspective. And it seems like what a lot of people think is the American dream is actually it can be seen as, a ball and chain if you're not careful about it. So what
Mm.
the professionally homeless life is about is freedom. Ultimately, is finding a way to have the things that are of real value versus the things that kind of keep us trapped if we aren't careful.
Mm. Wow. And when did that journey started, by the way? When you guys started really, really focusing on the professional homeless lifestyle?
Um, well, speaking for Dr. Obam, that started right after he sold his house. Actually, I suppose it started for all of us right after because we used to live together. Dr. Obam is my business partner, but he also took me in as family. We were family
Mhm.
together, and I was being mentored, and we started a business together. And once the house was sold, everybody went into professionally homeless mode, where it's like you create the luxuries that you want in life,
Mhm.
minus the things that can attach you and create a liability in your life, any kind of energetic liability. But it also creates a lot more freedom because, like, for example, the resort lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
you have everything available to you, everything available to you. The only drawback is that, you know, with having like a house, a traditional house, it will inspire the average person to begin accumulating things. So it also
Yes.
conditions you to not have so many physical attachments in life when you live that way, and it encourages us to make sure that our wealth is together because now there's a different, the stakes are a lot different. For me personally, it's a bit more of a transition because I do have attachments to living, having my own apartment where I have like an address in, and these things
Mm-hmm.
that we are told are so important. But the truth is, if you have the right relationships,
Mm-hmm.
if you have the means to move about as frequently and for as long as you want to, a lot of times living that way is less expensive than living in the
Mm.
way that we are conditioned to think is ideal.
Mm. So when you start, I'm thinking about, like an anchorless ship, like a ship just go from port to port, but
Yeah.
just kind of really, really get to navigate the seas. And you guys are doing that really, really
Hmm.
and enjoying it, which without a lot of baggage. Because, man,
Absolutely.
it's funny that you mentioned like this way to travel and move around without the baggage. Because I shrink down my life down
Absolutely.
to like two suitcases right now. My life is down to two suitcases. Everything I have is can fit in two suitcases. I've been moving around too. And I even launched my
Right.
book called Two Suitcases to Success. Just the same concept, bro, the same process of just narrating my life, letting off some of that burden, that weight, just kind of leave it behind
That's
me. Because
it.
you're right. When you anchor down to a certain place, you can't really move. You have so much stuff there that just holding you back. And all of that stuff you're not
Hmm.
even using because 80% of the stuff you keep at home
Absolutely.
is not useful. You're not using it. So when you
Absolutely.
that's very powerful, by the way. So I'm curious to know, mm, how many people have you guys been able to stimulate into this
To convert.
professional homeless. Yeah, professional homeless. Like, yeah, we want that
Um,
too. Or
you
not even
know,
say not a number, but there's some of those people that just really that shows up and like, hey, I love this thing. I want to do it too.
well, this is something, I'd have to give that some thought. So Dr. Obam already knows people who are kind of like this a little bit.
Mm,
And when I think about someone who's like this, my father is also kind of like this. He's very
mm,
much a bit nomadic and is a bit of an island. So that mindset of being okay with not having so much baggage in
mm-hmm.
life is has been something that's been with me pretty much my entire
Ah,
life. For me, but I am the type of person, I have about 100 books, somewhere between 75 and 100 books that I
mm,
pretty much take with me everywhere I go. I have driven from Tampa, Florida, all the way to Phoenix, Arizona with this stack of books. So, so that's, if there's a weight, it is my attachment to knowledge. And I think when you get into this type of lifestyle, it really reveals to you what are those attachments, what are those things that you can't really let go of, and is it sometimes appropriate to keep those things, you know, with you as a part of who you are and what you do, and there
mm-hmm.
is nothing that will tell you sooner what your priorities are than when you're traveling and you take a look at what you're traveling with. For me, it's my child, my baby girl, and and my books, my knowledge.
Wow, we're gonna stay on here for a little bit because I love this conversation right now. Because it's interesting. You can call it like the immigrant mindset. When the
Hmm.
immigrant mindset is like this, where if you're gonna go somewhere, you're gonna travel somewhere, you're gonna immigrate somewhere, and you only got two suitcases to take what you need to take.
Hmm.
Automatically prioritizing gonna happen. You're like, okay, I don't need this, I need this. So it tells
Yes.
you exactly what you have to take with you. And you gotta cut it's same it's in life too, you gotta cut ties with a lot of people. You gotta take the
Hmm.
people that you want to take with you that you have to take. So like kind of like the immigrant mindset, kind of the same way too. I'm thinking about, okay, I'm getting on this plane and they say, hey, you're gonna put 50 pounds in his bag or 70 pounds in his bag. You gotta really
What are
weigh
you taking with you?
what's the most important thing. And
Yep.
now you can say on your journey right now, you're like, oh, these are the most important thing I'm taking with me. Your books, your kid, and the other things that you're like, these are things I can't live without. And
Absolutely.
that's very powerful.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I'm sure you've heard the or seen the meme where they're like your house is burning down
Mm-hmm.
and you can run back in and get one thing. What's that one thing gonna be? So if you kind of make that a way of life, it
Mm.
really it clarifies your priorities really, really, really quick. Is like,
True.
what are you gonna leave behind? And what are you gonna do to rebuild? Is rebuilding even necessary? Are you okay with not having all of the things that people will say that you need to have in life? So yeah, it's a whole vibe.
Hmm. America, because I'm all about the American dream, but
Hmm.
sometimes the American dream, it really encourages a lot of, what you call it, accumulating of things,
Yes.
accumulating of things that you don't really need. And those things even cause you what you call it, a lot of stress on a lot of people. They
Oh
create a lot
man,
of anxiety because like
you're
the
opening a
joke
can of
is it
worms here.
yeah, there's a joke that says if Jesus showed up tomorrow and say, hey, let's go. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, Jesus, but I can't go right now because I still got the mortgage, I still got this, I still got that, I still got that, I still got that, right? And it's the idea that you're not ready to go because you're so anchored to certain things that you don't really need that are holding you back. You can't move forward. And it happens in a lot
Hmm.
of ways. Like you can think about in a lot of different things in life where the anchor that you're anchored on is not
Hmm.
something that's really moving you towards the things you really need to do. And the
Oh
American dream
man,
sometimes encourages a lot of accumulation of things that people don't need, which it can't go anywhere because they got to hold on to those things. What are your thoughts?
absolutely. Absolutely. So that whole idea is a huge part of my personal mission, like
Hmm.
long-term mission in terms of what I'm here on this earth to learn and to teach people. And a lot of it has to do with being territorial and
Mm.
what does that actually mean? So when it comes to the American dream, what are we all told that we're supposed to want? We're supposed to want to have a high paying job, buy a house, have the cars, have the marriage, and that's the end of it. And a lot of people either will get that and live or not live happily ever after, or they're in pursuit of that being a thing. And just depending on where you are, wealth wise or energetically, you may or may not attain that. But what is part of the ethos of America
Hmm.
is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have the right to want this American dream. However, with the world being a global society, with us being so connected because
Hmm.
of the internet and how we can now communicate across cultures, across countries, across
Hmm.
continents, and now there are remote communities that now have access to the internet and they're learning about this entirely new world.
Hmm.
It changes what our priorities are because now we can be of service on another level. So what does that mean? It means that what if it is your calling and it is necessary for you to not have roots in America, but that is
Hmm.
what you have always been and like what's always been suggested
A
as your
conditioning
goal
to,
for
yeah.
you. Yes. So what if you did have to let go of this idea that this is where you're planting your roots, this is where you're making the biggest impact, this is where your influence is going to be, and this is going to be the home base for you. This is going to be where once you go out and let's say you go out and you make your changes that you're intending to make, America is going to get the fruits of your labor. But
Mm.
that is no longer a necessary thing because now the only thing that's stopping us from being global citizens, from
Mm.
being global citizens, are the pieces of paper and the political agreements that we have between all of these other nations saying that you need this to go here in order to be a part of this community. You need to tell us that you're from here, or like to become, if you're not from America and you come to America and you want to become an American citizen, you have to understand our government, you have to understand the politics and all of this stuff, and it's pretty much the same in other places. But long story short, and I know we're going off on a little bit of a tangent here, is um, it's not the American dream for me or for some people is no longer as simple as we're gonna get the dream house. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have a horse and a farm and
Mm.
and all the stuff we could ever want. It's not about that anymore. It really is about, okay, how do we take the culture to the next level? How do we help everyone grow instead of everyone stagnating in a bit of a materialistic society? And I don't think I'm reaching too far by saying that.
Oh no, I totally agree with you. A lot in that area. Okay, so let's go back to some more first time experience for you because you've
Yeah.
been on this journey with Dr. Obam, and you see you spoke on that stage. I saw some of the footage of you speaking on that stage. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
go Afiya, yeah. What are some other first time experience you've had that you would love to share that really transform you in different ways that other people might find value in?
First time experiences. Let's see. Hmm. In what context? I mean, that was my first time being in Nashville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first
Mm-hmm.
time being in that area. Um, I would say,
Other major
hmm,
first times in your life that maybe you want to go down that in your story that you might want to put a
first
pin and
time,
say, hey, experiences.
first time experiences. Can you ask a few questions? Do you have
Okay,
some
all right.
trivia questions?
So you mentioned earlier that your daughter is is one of
Oh, that's a first
your
time experience.
priority luggage on the plane.
Priority
Yeah.
luggage.
So
Yes.
talk about that experience and how was that? How was
Oh
that?
my goodness. So that is my first time experience having a child. It is a
Mm-hmm.
continuous first time experience
Mm-hmm.
raising this lovely, lovely little girl named Imani. Gosh, first time experience having, okay, my daughter's birth was the best experience. So she was a little bit late,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we went to the appointments and they were like, don't come in expecting to give birth or anything. We're just going to check on you and make sure you're still okay. So we get there and my water is low and she's breached. So she's like snuggled up to me in my stomach. And they're like, yeah, so we're going to just go ahead and have you give birth. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So within 2 hours of my checkup appointment, she was here. I was not in any pain. I did not go through any labor. She didn't even cry when she was born. They had to kind of make her cry. And when they brought her to me, she looked right at me. She looked at me straight in my face, like
Wow.
she had been looking for me. And that was just the most amazing experience of my entire life. Definitely beyond what I thought it would be like having a child, and she's been a blessing that's been keep on blessing me for
Mm.
my whole life. So that was a first.
Hmm. Okay, so may I ask you this then? So as being a mom, being a parent, what age were you when you have your first kid?
um I was I was 29 and a half
29
when
and a
my
half.
daughter was born. Yes.
Mm. I'm gonna drop this in here because every time we talk about parenthood, I always reference my mom. But just imagine being the age of 34 and already have 9 kids. Just imagine that.
Being the age of 34 and what?
And already have 9 kids.
And already have nine?
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. Your mom put in work.
Yeah, oh no, I'm like, so yeah. So I was every time I talk about parent, I gotta go back like this lady is powerful, my friend. So at the age of 34, she already put 9 out, and like that was it. And then she just
Oh
started
my goodness.
building after that. So just imagine, yeah. So you got your jewel with you all over the place. Where you go, you got your daughter with you. But yes,
Yep.
I give a shout to women all the time because it's not easy to raise that many kids.
It's not. My grandmother had eight.
Grandma had
So
8.
yes. So
Mm.
I grew up with a huge family. It was always a party.
You know what's interesting? I'm noticing though, like folks that come from big family, sometimes the numbers start to get really small. Like I
Yeah,
only
yeah, yeah.
want one or two,
Because
you
we
know,
don't need more.
because you're like, oh, hold on, man. I
Numbers
came,
wise,
I
you're
was too, it
good.
was too crowded where I came from. I don't want to be around too many
Yeah.
people, like too many.
We're
Yeah,
a whole team.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It was crowded in my house too. Very crowded, very crowded. Okay, so your daughter, what's her name again?
Imani.
Imani.
Yes.
Imani, you got a unique
Yes.
name too. How you guys come up with your names? I'm gonna go test out this name because your name is very unique. Where's your name from?
So my mom picked my name out of a book of African names. So my name is Swahili, meaning in good health.
Mm.
And my daughter, my ex-husband was talking about how he was learning Swahili with his mother, and
Mm-hmm.
they were celebrating Kwanzaa. And one of the concepts that they talked about was imani. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, that's the name. If I have a little girl, that's going to be her name. And imani is Swahili meaning faith.
Mm.
So that's where that all came from, and it's so perfectly fits the themes of our lives right now. So I definitely feel like God is aligned with
Mm.
everything in my life, including the very names that we have and how they were chosen for sure.
Imani and Afiya. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, I love it. I love it. You know, you was talking earlier about the language barrier, like speaking in Swahili. 'Cause you was talking about Swahili just now. It just hit me because
Uh-huh.
you know the system that the Great Discovery, their platform, as for their
Yes.
ability to really translate in different language. I was thinking about the impact I want to have on the Swahili language, or at least
Oh
speaking to
man.
folks that speak Swahili. So I was thinking about, I was like, I was waiting for them either when they come online with that system where they say you can actually speak live, and then the
Mm-hmm.
person on the other hand would interpret in the language they want to interpret in, and that automatic translation. I was like, man, I can't wait for that tool to like be really, really like really
Oh man.
available. So now, if I'm here, like I want to coach somebody that's in speaking Swahili in another location in Africa somewhere, I can get on the call just like me and you right now. I'm speaking to you, but then you hear me in Swahili, and you speak in Swahili, and I'm hearing you in English, and we just be able to communicate. That barrier, that language barrier
That would
thing,
be
don't there's no be
incredible.
no more barriers, right? Let's be gone, man.
Yes.
But I was thinking about it when you was talking about it earlier. I was like, man, that system.
Well,
I can't
you
wait
could
for that thing
probably
to be
speak
online.
Arabic. You could
Say
probably speak
again,
Arabic and it would translate really well. Yeah,
in
because
Arabic.
Swahili, I believe, is just a different dialect of Arabic.
You speak Swahili?
No,
No.
I wish. I know a few words, which is
You
my
know a few
name and my
words.
daughter's name.
Ah, nice, nice, nice. Hmm. Okay. Let's go back. So your daughter is your one of your big first time experiences that's unforgettable, of course. And
Absolutely.
that was very life changing for you. And now the motherhood piece just really, really struck you in a certain way where you want to impact
Oh,
the world
certainly.
even more bigger. What
Absolutely.
else? What else in your
Uh,
life that was the first time experiences that you're like, oh, the world needs to know this?
oh, well, a first time experience in my life that continues to impact me is the first time that I went to Australia.
Hmm.
My father actually lives there, and we were estranged, but I went there to kind of find out what his life was like and what was going on. So I was there for about 2 months. And going there, first of all, you get off the plane and it looks like you're in a Dr. Seuss book because the trees look different. The bend of the buildings look different. The air feels different. It smells different. Everything was so different. And the he works with a lot of remote communities. So
Hmm.
I got to visit some places where there are more Aboriginal Australians in the areas, and that impacted me in such a way that to this day I am still executing on the commitment that I made to myself and to those people, even though they don't know me personally. They know me through my father, but they don't know me. But every
Hmm.
day I am working to create an impact for the artists that are from there and from the people, the older and the younger people who want to preserve their culture, but the newer people want to be more a part of this new world and a different way of doing things. So how do you bridge that gap between tradition and technology? How do you do that in a way that honors both? So that first time experience is something that completely affects and leads the direction of my life for sure. Everything that we're doing now, everything that we're building now,
Hmm.
even if you consider the whole professionally homeless thing, one day we're going to have to drop everything and go and perhaps spend some time, and I don't know how much time that is going to be, so I have to be mentally prepared for the idea that we need to leave something behind for an undetermined period of time and do what we
Hmm.
got to do.
Wow. And I love this saying say we didn't came here to stay. We came here to play, and when the game is over, we all got to go home.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So Australia, your dad is from Australia? Is that?
You know, he's not from there. He's from New York, but he
Oh,
went there. He's a musician. He's a touring musician,
okay.
and that was one of their stops. And what he told me was that when they got there, he was so attracted to the place. He felt like it called him there and that that was where he
Mm,
was supposed to be. And since then, he has created a tremendous, tremendous impact on Aboriginal culture, on music.
mm.
And so that's sometimes you just gotta honor that calling no matter what.
Wow. What is your favorite island? I know you and Dr. Obama been traveling around. What's your favorite island to go to?
My favorite island,
Mm-hmm.
we haven't gone to any island. Oh, that's not true. We went to Key West a
Mm.
couple of years ago. Everybody together as a like a big family. We went to Key West. My favorite island, uh, my favorite island is the island that I'm from, St. Croix. St. Croix has always
Ah.
known to be my favorite. It's or I would say it's a toss up between St. Croix and St. Thomas because I lived on both.
St. Croix. I didn't know you was from the island.
Yes, yep,
Why
yep,
would I
yep,
ask that
yep.
question? The universe is leading me right now. I'm gonna follow this thing here right now. You from
Let's
St.
go.
Croix?
I am from St. Croix, born and partially raised. We lived there until I was 4. And
Mm-hmm.
then from 4 to 10, I was on St. Thomas. So the majority of my childhood was in the
Mm.
Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands.
Mhm.
And your dad was in the US at the time. Oh,
No, my father, we were estranged. My father was in Australia. My
oh.
mother has deep, deep, deep roots in the Virgin Islands. My family has hundreds of years of history in the area. So that's
Mm-hmm.
he was touring, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
and St. Croix was on the way.
Mm. I got you. I got you. It's funny, last night I was talking to my uncle too, and he was telling me that when my mom's side of the family, their last name is Martel,
Ah,
and he was telling me that the family name came from um French island, Haiti,
ah,
Haiti to
nice.
Jamaica, and I was like, really? I didn't know that, but he was like, yeah, yeah, the family name came from Haiti, the Martels came from Haiti to Jamaica. I was like,
Very
okay,
cool.
cool. So, but yeah. But right now, my daughter lives in the Bahamas. She was born in
Gosh,
Miami, actually. She was born on here where I'm at. She was born in Miami, Florida. And then when she went back and grew up in the Bahamas with her mom, because her mom is from the Bahamas. And I was like,
nice.
wow. Yeah. But I'm hearing that you guys going to the Bahamas soon. You got some days going to the Bahamas, you and Dr. Obama.
Oh, Dr. Obam, I believe, will be visiting the Bahamas. We don't go everywhere together. Dr. Obama and
Oh.
his wife and his family,
Mhm.
they go all over the place all the time.
Ah.
Yes, I am
Okay.
currently in Florida and it is finally starting to Florida in Florida.
What part of Florida you at right now?
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Okay, I'm in St. Petersburg right now. Yeah.
Oh, no way. So the other part of my childhood, I was in Tampa. I lived in Tampa for 30 years.
Ah, nice, nice.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Anyway, hopefully I can catch Dr. Obama when he's in the Bahamas. I'm working on some plans right now because I know you're doing this retreat over there, this mastermind thing. So I'm thinking about how I can tap into that. I don't know yet. I got to work on some stuff, but
That's
there's some
amazing.
barriers
But
in
you
the
know,
way
we're
right
going to
now.
be in Orlando in June. So you definitely have to join us at the OB Mastermind. So it's
Okay,
June 5th through the 9th,
June
and
5th
we
to the
will be
9th,
right there in Orlando. Absolutely.
Orlando. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, all right. That's hmm. Is it gonna
That's
be
right around the corner.
same similar like to what you guys did in Nashville? Is it gonna be something similar to that or different?
Well, this one is going to be a mansion mastermind. So it's a lot more intimate.
Mm,
And it's where we go over the entire philosophy that Dr. Obama has built over his entire career,
mm-hmm,
where you have a deeper understanding of how your mind works and
mm-hmm,
how you can use the way your mind works to get what you want in life, no matter what it is. So this is where Dr. Obama does the majority of his teaching and where we deep dive into how do you take your ideas or how do you take what you want to do and monetize it and
mm-hmm,
make that your way of life.
mm.
Because
Okay,
essentially that's
Orlando.
all this is it that's all that we're doing with this whole professionally homeless thing, with all of the retreats, with all of that, is we're taking what we love, which is our lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and monetizing it and turning it into something that can serve people while it serves us.
Man, I love that idea, by the way. Because I want to be professionally homeless too. Afiya, I want to be professionally homeless too. I really do.
You got it. All you got
I
to do
really
is make
do.
the decision and
Yeah.
and
But
fly.
I have a few more strings I gotta cut first. And once I cut those strings, I should be able to free up myself and then be on this road and moving and building and growing and just putting, putting places all over the planet. Because
Absolutely.
I'm a, what do you call it? I'm a family of the world, student of the world.
Absolutely. You know, that
Yeah.
that brings up something else. So it's not a first yet, but it's going to be a first. So
Mm.
part of the goal with all of this is for my daughter and I to go on a genetic world tour. So one of my family members did one of
Mm-hmm.
those 23andMe tests where you find out like where your ancestry is.
Ah.
And it came back, of course, that we had West African people in our family, which was to be expected. But then there was
Mm-hmm.
also Finnish, but then there was also Palestinian, then there was Russian, and I'm like, how does that even happen?
Mm.
So with these things, because personal development is basically a form of epigenetics. You're changing the way that you respond to life. However, there's stuff that you will naturally is just your natural behavior because of your ancestors and because of your culture and because of all of these things that have just been um, nurtured in you through your lineage, through your ancestors. So the
Mm-hmm.
goal is to actually go to these places and learn about the culture from that culture because everything from an American perspective is going to weigh on America being in the right, or it's never going to be as accurate as getting the story from the source from the country. There's going to be things that we can't understand about the culture because sometimes you need to be there, and sometimes there are older people from the area that have other stories. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
to just immerse ourselves in the culture so that we can make the conscious choice. Do I want to continue being this person, or do I want to take what is best about this and create a new culture that's going to lead us to a better future, which of course ties into everything that I wanted to do with helping Aboriginal Australians, not just Aboriginal Australians, but any culture where they want to bridge, they want to build a better bridge between traditional knowledge, like deep, energetic knowledge, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, making that relevant to the future that we're going into.
Wow. When you was talking, you triggered some thoughts for me just now. I gotta share them. I gotta share them.
Oh,
Because
please do.
there's something about the American filter.
Uh-huh.
And me being in the military, I get to travel around the world a lot when I was in the military. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that a lot of the American, they have this American filter. They don't really see the world in a lot where the world is.
That's what I mean about the American dream is
Yeah.
okay, you
Yeah.
do all this to stay here, and then there's no other perspective. By the way, where are you from? You have a very interesting accent.
Jamaica.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I've been in the US 25 years, man. So I've been I've been working on making it clear. But Jamaica.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
clear. You know what's funny? So I've actually worked on my accent. I've never spoken like everybody else because my mother was an English teacher, so she would
Mm-hmm.
relentlessly correct my speech. So I didn't sound like anybody anyway. But when I got to the U.S., to them, I sound like an island girl. So everybody assumed, oh, you're from Jamaica. That's their litmus for island people is is being Jamaican.
Yeah, that's the first guess. But yeah, there's a lot of islands in the Caribbean, buddy. A whole lot.
Yes. So I have to ask. I'm not because I don't want to make any assumptions. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's funny because I've been in the US. Well, more than I lived in Jamaica. So it kind of like, I'm more US than Jamaican in a way because I've been here in this land more longer. But still
sure.
Jamaica, because I consider myself an immigrant and a veteran.
Okay.
That's my two identities that I really kind of own up to and I kind of find the umbrella to cover myself.
Sure.
But still, the immigrant journey is very powerful for me. So
Sure.
does the veteran journey because they're very similar. Like, if you think about it, if you're a soldier or a military service member,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes you leave your country to go overseas to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling. That means you gotta pack your stuff in two duffel bag, two suitcase, whatever, right? As an immigrant, you're leaving
Right.
your home country to another country to serve. They're both serving, both immigrants and veteran, because you got what family back home, wherever the anchor is. in that location, you gotta provide for them, you gotta support them. So that means you gotta leave them behind. So sometimes you leave the most valuable thing behind too. Sometimes when you go take those big risks,
Yes.
you know. So the immigrant journey, the same thing. So when people talk about America, American dream, I'm like, listen, American dream is all about the immigrant dream.
Mm.
It is, and it's a place where you come to build, but it's not a place where you come to stay.
Well, yes, yes, I agree with that, and I guess that's part of what I mean is like you build and then you stay, and then there's nothing beyond it. Now of course
Mm,
there are people who have generated massive success, so it's not in the same context. Like if you think about the wealthiest person on the planet that we know of right now is Elon Musk, right?
mm-hmm,
Elon Musk lives in, I believe he lives in Los Angeles or
mm-hmm,
something like that. But he could live anywhere in the
mm-hmm,
world that he chose to. It's just it in the context of his business, it makes the most sense for him to be where most of his partners and his employees live, which
mm-hmm,
which which would be in Los Angeles. But if he didn't have the power to live anywhere in the world that he wanted to live, if he wasn't attached to seeing Tesla to its next level, or if he wasn't attached to any of those things, what's to say that he wouldn't choose to like get up and do whatever, go wherever. There's this one of my favorite books, not just a
mm-hmm,
comic book, is this book called Watchmen. You ever heard of
mm-hmm.
it?
I think I've seen The Watchmen. I think The Watchmen or Watchmen.
Well, it's called Watchmen. The comic is, but
Mm.
I'm not 100% clear right this moment if the movie was called The Watchmen or
Okay.
whatever. But they
Mm-hmm,
made it into a movie. Um, and one of the characters in the book, by the name of, I think it's Ozymandias or something like that. Very, very wealthy person. He generates all this wealth. Basically renounces all of his riches,
mm-hmm,
and starts all over to build from the bottom up again, just to prove to himself that he could. Completely
mm,
left everything behind and came back and built something that was even more magnificent. Now, the implications of him doing this is something else entirely, which is in the book. Terrifying and horrifying, but awesome at
mm,
the same time if you ever read it.
mm-hmm,
But the point of all that is he left, he rebuilt himself somewhere else. he
mm,
he he had to set himself free from all of his attachments in order to see if he really had what it took to create what he had created for himself. And I think in a lot of ways, when we make a choice to be professionally homeless or whatever that means to someone, it's to make sure that you know that we can affirm to ourselves that we really have this power to create whatever we want wherever we want under any circumstances all the time, versus our attachments now creating advantages for us that we are not even fully aware of, because that can definitely happen.
wow. No, what you just said just triggered some thoughts for me. I gotta share too.
Oh,
So
please do.
when you was talking about you had to rebuild to see if you still have it. So when I
Mm-hmm.
was in the military, I was in a system, I was in an organization structure that I was able to be great in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I was leaving the military, I was like, okay, without the system, can I still be great without it? And then I
Preach.
was thinking about what system, what area I want to go into. When I think about entrepreneurship, I'm like, okay, so can I go into this space that everybody says is the most challenging space to be in this entrepreneurship? I'm like, can I go in
Seriously.
there, create a system or organize around a system that I can be great in? And that's why I'm like, I want that challenge. So I'm like, okay, how can I do it? Who can I connect with? Because yes, the military system made me great in that system, but without that
Mm-hmm.
system, can I still be great without it? And that was something that it was very hard to wrap my head around because I'm like, man, it's going to take so much. And it has take a lot. It has cost me a lot. Pretty much everything I had to really like take off that identity, you know, and then
Yes,
put on this new identity because when you put on a new identity, you need a community to help you build around that identity. If not, you would fucking
exactly.
quit or you would, yes. And it was very difficult, man, very difficult. So you was talking about, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like it. So now I'm finding people like you and Dr. Obam, that's kind of like help me organize around. Can I find a new system for me to be great in? And that's
Absolutely.
something that's very once I found that, I was like, okay, now I felt like I'm back in a community of brothers and sisters like I had in the military where I can like work and use my mind and build and go forward. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's what you triggered for me when you was talking about that.
Oh, you're welcome because it's not too many people think that way. And actually, Dr. Obama will talk about that often is um, the discipline that he learned in the military
Mm-hmm.
has been of immense value to him in his life. Um, with the character in that book, one of the reasons I believe it's been a while since I read it. I need to go back and read it again. But one of the things that happened is a lot of what he was given, or what a lot of what he had the first time, was because it was given to him. It was something where um, he was entitled to it almost. So he had to prove to himself that he actually had what it took.
Mm-hmm.
So like one thing I noticed about a lot of military people is sometimes when they come out of the military, and I've never served, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to offend our service people at all ever. But sometimes I've noticed that when people exit the military, or certain veterans, they it's almost like without the structure that the military offers, vices will take its place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that that ability to still keep that mentality and just apply it to life, versus now it's not being imposed on you, the discipline isn't being imposed on you, so now you can let up a little bit in life. That is something that's an idea that I think about frequently, is like, if we're not being forced to do something,
Mm-hmm.
are we still going to do it just because it's the right thing to do, or are we going to choose comfort, which of course is the entire theme of the philosophy for Underdog Millionaire, and all of that came from Dr. Obama, and what he teaches about life.
Mm. No, no, no. That is 100% true. But something that I learned, and I'm glad I'm able to learn this and recognize and be aware of it too, is transitioning from identity to identity. It is very difficult,
Yeah,
especially when you're coming from an organization where there was a massive purpose. For example, like
yeah.
I was sharing like with people understand, like even the Navy, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like after World War II, one of the big missions of the Navy was to really patrol the seas, right? To really protect
Yeah,
the assets of the United States of America. That means businesses, corporations, so forth and so on that transport goods and services across the seas, because pirates was already on the seas stealing business containers and ships. They were taking ships. So the Navy
yeah.
was protecting that. So a lot of the country doesn't realize how much impact the United States Navy had on their livelihood, because if it wasn't for us, a lot of stuff wouldn't get delivered.
Yes.
Just like here. Amazon package wouldn't show up to your doorstep if the Navy was protecting
Right.
the seas. But now a lot of
Right.
these other countries, like China and other places, know they have their good navy. Their military is growing too, right? Which is becoming a threat to the United States military too as well. But the U.S. was doing that. So if
Yeah.
you're a person or part of the organization achieving this massive purpose, and then like you were doing this thing that have a massive purpose, and then that no longer the case. Like, okay, what do I do now?
You
Just
ever
like when
seen
these
the
guys
map?
traveled to the moon and came back from the moon back to Earth, they was like, what do I do now? A lot of them went in depression. It's the same thing. You do something really
Yes.
massive, really important, and then you fall back into a space where this new purpose is not so important. It takes a lot to convert the identity. And
Yes.
oftentimes it's very difficult for
Absolutely.
people to go into depression, substance abuse, so forth and so on. Because if you think about it, like when I first joined the military, like when I was going in, I was conditioned into this new identity. I had the
Yeah.
brotherhood to help me move into it. They was there
Sure.
present, like, hey, Asher, do this, keep doing this, encouraging you, so forth and so on, supporting you. But when you exit that identity, taking on this new identity, no brotherhood
Yep.
exists no more. Like in the
Yep.
civilian space. So nobody's here to hold you like, hey, take off that hat and don't put this one on.
Nobody else is holding you
And
accountable.
if it's like this, that doesn't happen. So a lot of people go in depression. Like I went in depression, say, for the first few months
Yeah.
after I left. Because
I'm sorry to hear
I'm
that.
switching identity. It wasn't easy. And then I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I need to find community, because I realized that community help you. It's like the express way through failure is community.
Yes.
And I felt like I was failing, 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 falling, and failing, and I have no community to express no highway to get me through it, and I was stuck in it. So when I start finding community in the entrepreneurial space, I'm like, okay, these people are thinking the way I want to think now. Because I'm leaving identity, employment identity, right? Get a job
Yes.
identity. Wasn't
Big one.
deploying my skill. It's a whole different kind of thinking. And it was very difficult, my friend, very difficult. So I appreciate people like you and Dr. Obama and folks that are out there that are bringing people together in the entrepreneurial space to kind of, hey, you got to think differently, because it's a different kind of thinking out here. Not the same as
Absolutely.
being an employee.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's powerful. What's more powerful is now you can be that for somebody else, from what you've
Yes.
been through.
Yes, and that's why, I often say this, so I'm gonna keep saying it until it becomes second nature. But it's like when I first joined the military, one of the big questions that drive me is who do I want to be a hero to? And that was the American family and the American population because they was worth my
Yes.
sacrifice. But when I left the military, I had to find ask the same question again, who do I want to be a hero to? And it came back to my immigrants and my veteran because they were the one that really helped me like survive and thrive in the military. So now I'm
Yes.
focused on them.
So, so, so you ever seen the map of basically where the United States owns property in the world, or where United States has control in the world?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the United States presence is
Mm-hmm.
in all of the major ports in the world. The federal government doesn't own but leases all of the border properties all over the United States and pretty much in every major part that there could be trade in the world. So
Mm-hmm.
just because of that, from a military perspective, it would be almost impossible to actually defeat the United States in a war. In a tactical war, in a physical war. With technology, there's all other covert ways that stuff could happen, but that's a whole other can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
The point I'm trying to make is the United States is everywhere, and it's been said that the United States is big brother to the world. But what's a double-edged sword for being American is, yes, we are that, and as a nation we are that, but also on an individual level, that means that we have to take responsibility for being in that position
Mm-hmm.
in the world, which is a part of what I believe this is. If we are supposed to be this melting pot of all nations coming together, if we have such a presence in the world that we not only protect other nations from each other, but also protect them from us, protect
Mm-hmm.
ourselves from ourselves, then on an individual level, we almost have an obligation to go out there and figure out what our next step forward is. And sometimes you can only do that by looking back, and by doing the work of finding out what the actual history is. You ever hear people say trust but verify?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's basically that on another level. Is, yeah, I'm going to trust what the history books say, what the culture says, but I'm also going to verify by doing the groundwork, as long as we have the advantage, the privilege of being able to do so. And I think I think our servicemen, our military members, are like the forefront of us having the type of people that are already conditioned to do something like that, because of the kind of knowledge that you guys have about operations. Maybe even stuff more than you even realize you know sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So um
Once you start connecting that, ain't it's interesting. Hmm. Think about it right now because one of the big focus of America is really is the Pacific side of the world because it's China is really getting strong. So
sure.
now the last time the America really mastered the seas was after World War II.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then but after World War II we kind of we did a little bit of that, but then we switched over to what? The Middle East. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the strategic stuff wasn't focused on the ocean, so it's at that big time, Pacific side. But now,
Right.
yeah, China, we gotta focus on China now, because
Right. All
because
right.
I mean we got Russia too, but definitely China is big time, and Russia is
I
making a
mean,
lot of friends too. So all of
see,
those things are playing in. So now we gotta go put people in those positions that we have plugged ourselves into. And now guess what? The Gen Z population, I'm gonna talk to Gen Z right now because
oh
these
man.
folks gotta step up and start helping defend this country because a lot of them, like right now, realizing that the military is having a lot of challenges right now, finding recruits to come and join the military.
Yeah.
Right? Because the Gen Z population they
These
don't want to
kids
step
don't
up.
want to
But
fight,
like,
and they
yeah.
shouldn't have to. The hippies were right, man.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You don't have to go to fight, but you have to be ready. Right? And that's the
Yes.
thing. That's the thing.
Yes.
So right now, the Gen Z needs to go put the uniform on and be in a position to, hey, we're gonna protect what we have implemented. Because I'm telling you right now, like really, like anybody would be crazy to attack America. They really will, because there's so much.
Yes.
America's we can defeat whatever attacks,
Doesn't mean
but
they won't
still,
try.
yeah. But doesn't mean people is trying. Doesn't mean that folks will lose the art of defending. That's what I'm saying. The Gen Z needs to go so we don't lose the art of defending, because like I recently
Mm,
saw this message from the army talking about recalling retirees because they're
mm,
missing critical people in critical position, because like recruiting is not
correct.
easy for right now because people want to join. Like, it's easy to be free, but listen, if you don't have we talk about being professional homeless, but you're still in an anchor, because in the
Yes,
end, you gotta fall back somewhere eventually. But you gotta know that this is homeland, but I'm gonna go out there and be an ambassador wherever I gotta go in the world and just live the life. But still, you gotta protect the anchor, because if not, somebody gonna steal it. You gotta know where to go, and you don't want to be a countryless person, or a person that your country no longer have any respect. That means you won't be respected in the world either. Just like Africa wasn't getting respected a lot. Why? Because certain thing, and the same thing happen if your continent, your country is not respected, wherever you go in the world, you get the same kind of respect. So still, America still gotta defend and protect their image, their flag, their brand when they go in the world. Woo!
absolutely. We
Okay,
went in, man.
we went in, man. Oh my God. So we gotta wrap up. We gotta wrap up, my dear friend.
Sure.
You've been awesome, very entertaining conversation.
Thank you for
I
having
like,
me.
yeah. The idea is that if you can sit there and take the boring and make it educating and entertaining, you'll be really, really master at the world. And you and Dr. Obama, I mean, really, you guys have been studying a lot of tools and systems. I've been listening to you guys. I'm like, wow, these guys been in the books. You guys been around the people, been studying psychology a lot. Like, yeah, man. So I've been listening. I've been watching. You guys been doing really good. So shout out to Dr. Obama and Afiya, my friend here, for doing
Absolutely.
it good.
Thank you. I will leave you with this. One of the most important skills you can learn in life is to be able to navigate this earth. And
Mm,
by navigate, I mean that by every single way it can be defined, not just knowing how to get from place to place, but also knowing how to communicate with different cultures, knowing how to communicate with different people regardless of language. And right now the world has made that available to us
mhm.
all. So I look forward to what the future holds for everybody.
Awesome. Again, Afiya, the awesome name. So the meaning again one more time so I can remember.
It means in good health.
In
Roughly, it
good
means
health.
wellness. Yes.
Wellness. So we're gonna leave off on that note. They got to make it a good health day, a good health
Yeah.
weekend. All right. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Afia.
Thank you.
All right.